How about it, y'all? This is Daniel Nicholson with Nicholson Farms, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here and you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it. We've gotten a lot of new subscribers lately and a lot more views here recently. We really appreciate all the support. Before we got our video kicked off today, I kind of wanted to just talk to you for a second. I'm sorry if you hear some background noise. My neighbors are always cutting grass when I'm trying to make a video. It's a little frustrating, but we're going to get it done either way. I kind of been thinking a little bit lately about my content and what I've been doing with my YouTube videos, and a lot of times I can't get a whole video done in one day doing a project. My time's limited in a lot of ways. I work a full-time job Sunday through Thursday, and my only days off are on Friday and Saturday, and it's just hard to get everything squeezed into those 2 days. Just like this weekend is going to be super busy. Going to a dove shoot this weekend on Friday, and then on Saturday we're working a beer cart at the Oktoberfest here in Newberry with the JCs. So my whole day Saturday's gone. So that's just the way it goes. Life gets in the way, but there's a lot of little things that get done off the camera that I don't show that really make this place, as far as just keeping the property up. A lot of little things I do with the goats, a lot of little things I do with all the animals. The garden, all kind of different stuff does not get included into some of my videos because I'm trying to video a how-to project or my main project of the week or something like that. So I want to try something a little bit different, and I want y'all's thoughts on it. I'm thinking about, carrying the camera around with me more and just trying to get more stuff that we're doing on a daily basis. Maybe pick up the camera on Wednesday if we're doing something Wednesday, for sure Friday and Saturday, Sunday afternoons, different times like that, and just kind of start vlogging the whole process, because those little things add up to really make a small farm happen. So that's just kind of my thoughts. I want to do that in this video and probably the next couple videos, see the reaction to it. So if you like the rest of this video, give it a thumbs up, just kind of letting us know if you like how we're doing the videos now. We're still still the majority of the content's going to be pertaining to goats. That's our biggest time that we spend on the farm is with the goats. That's my biggest interest personally, but there's so much more that goes into it. The goats, the pigs, the cows, the horses, the gardening. I do a lot of hunting. Just keeping the property up is a big thing, so we really want to capture all that and put it out there for the world, for the people that don't know what it takes to really make a small farm happen, to show them. That's the whole purpose of this YouTube channel, is to catch our journey and to help somebody else out. So like I said, leave it in the comments if you like it, and let us know what you think about our videos going forward in this new style. If we have any big projects come up, we'll definitely just make a specific video for that. But I really appreciate you holding on this long for this little conversation. We're going to get on with the video. We're going to get the goats moved over to our pasture, our neighbor's pasture, so they can get some free grass, like I call it. So let's get to it. Come on, goats. So I got my fake bucket of feed, no feed in here, but the goats will follow it either way. Come on, goat. Still don't have that wire up. That video I put out last week was actually finished yesterday. So that's a project this afternoon. We're gonna get that wire strung up, get these goats moved on over. Come on, goats. Been tricking them with this empty bucket for a couple days now. I'm gonna have to put some feed in it and let them know sometimes there actually is something in that bucket. I don't know what this plant is that they're munching on, but it looks like wild little strawberries to me on it. They absolutely are tearing those things up, and they're all out in this pasture. Before we put up the fence, I think I'll unhook this. Do not want to get shocked today. So as I mentioned in the last video, we tried our hand at the temporary fence or polywire fence with these goats. It comes down to a time thing. Whenever you're running these goats, you can't use a single wire, you can't use 2 wires. I tried 3 wires, that didn't work. A 4th wire seems to do the trick. But with one reel, running down, pulling it back, and back and forth. It just takes forever to get it out. And then once you get it out, 2 or 3 days, you're moving it again. It just takes a lot of time. We're gonna be thinking about how we can speed up this whole process. But last time I did this, I ran 2 fences so the goats couldn't get into my mom's bushes over here, but we're just gonna do it anyway. Hope my mom don't get too mad. We're just gonna run the single strand so they don't go that way. So I'm gonna throw it up real quick and show you what it looks like when I get it up. I think I just figured out what would make this polywire stuff work. So in the past, I've hooked my reel onto this side and just pulled through it. And then I had insulators on each end. I'd pull through that hole and I'd have to pull it all the way around. Well, this polywire I have here has a couple nicks in it where I've had to retie it and it just gets stuck and it's just aggravating. What I did here is I just walked with the reel and went a whole lot faster. I just came in and tied that off through that insulator instead of pulling it through. Of course, I grabbed the reel that didn't have as much wire on it, so I've got one little section here that doesn't have that 4th wire on it. Hopefully it'll be all right. And I just leaned it up against there. We got our 4 strands going across the yard. We're about to get it hot. It's already tied to the electric fence. So let's plug it back up and it should be good to go. So our construction in front of our shed got completed. Yeah, I pulled the equipment out the other day. I think it looks pretty good. Kind of sloped it off away from the building so the water can go around that way or around this way. Put in a new pipe here and cut a little bit of ditch that goes towards the pasture. It looks good. We seeded it yesterday. You can see a bunch of rye seed. If you see them little orange dots, that's actually Bermuda. So we're gonna try to get this seeded in that rye throughout the winter so this dirt doesn't wash away. It ain't really topsoil, it's mostly clay. So that doesn't get washed away, and hopefully the Bermuda will come out next spring. Well, I don't quite understand it. There's so much grass over there in that pasture. But the goats put themselves up about an hour ago. So we'll go ahead and shut the gate for the night. We'll let them back out tomorrow. How about it, y'all? Next day, I'm gonna get after it again. This morning, me and my dad's gonna load up a bunch of scrap metal. We've been trying to clean up a good bit. This is the kind of area y'all don't get to see. It's in the very back of our property, back corner behind my parents' house. We have these barns that, you know, we store the tractors in, my old truck and boats and stuff like that. We're just trying to clean it up so we can utilize that space better for hay, boats, tractors, everything. But we got a lot of scrap metal laying around. We did a lot of cleaning last week, so we're gonna go ahead and load up the scrap metal today. Got a whole pile of just random stuff here. And these old head gates. My granddad used to be a dairy farmer, and we got those head gates from him. One time we were gonna build some kind of corral out of them, but we decided not to go that route. So we got all these head gates laying around. We're gonna load them up and take them to the scrap yard. But first we're gonna run up and let the goats out into the neighbor's pasture. In the past couple days, I've really noticed some interest in between these fellas right here and these girls up here. All these guys are kind of rutting a little bit. They're peeing on their beards, peeing on their legs. They're starting to stink pretty good. There's been several the past couple days that have definitely been in heat. This girl right here, this Savannah goat by the fence, you see her just staring them billies down, wagging her tail. She is definitely in heat. She's very vocal. There's another one in here yesterday in heat. This big brown-headed nanny right here, she's doing the same thing. So these girls are ready to breed, but we're just gonna hold off for a while. Trying to make sure we have babies in decent weather this year. don't have any babies born when it's cold. But we're gonna go ahead and let them out, let them over to the neighbors. Come on, girls. We got several limps in the herd. I need to do some hoof trimming. That's one thing about feeding grain. Feeding grain's great if you need to up their body condition or keep them nice. But the only thing with that, you're gonna grow hooves and you're gonna grow horns with grain. Those hooves just grow really fast when you feed a lot of grain. I noticed it probably about 3 years ago, whenever I really started trying to get back into this with the goats. I started feeding grain, and whenever I was growing up, I really didn't feed that much grain to my goats, and I never had to trim hooves. And between the boar goats that we've got, or boar goat cross, and feeding grain, we've ran into some feed issues, but hopefully that Kiko Billy will take care of that. We'll see. But that's just part of it. Now I guess it's time to look like Sanford and Sons and get the scrap metaling. Now that's a load of junk. Have you ever seen so much metal in one place? Y'all, Saturday morning, me and Mr. Rivers are up super early to get things done here at the farm. I mentioned earlier in the video that my Saturday was going to be completely booked up. Well, Saturday morning, I've got to be in town at 9 o'clock. I'm going to be in town all day long. The Newberry JCs, which I'm a member of, we're going to be selling beer at our Oktoberfest, kind of raising money for Camp Hope. It's a local or in-state disabilities camp that we donate to every year. So we gotta get busy. I'm gonna be in town all day long. But first I gotta get all the animals taken care of no matter what. So we're gonna move these goats into their new pasture for the week. I pretty much move goats every Saturday morning or either Friday afternoon into new pastures. I figure we'll walk out to the pasture real quick. I'll kind of show you what they're going into or what they're coming out of and what they're going into and kind of how we're gonna try to manage our grass going into the fall, into the winter, trying not to really hit it hard, but trying to save some grass throughout the winter so we're not having to feed so much hay. So let's get into the pasture and we'll look at what's going on out there. So this pasture right here that they're in right now is really our smallest pastures. You know, it's not really big. It might be 3/4 of an acre, if that. This pasture right here gets a lot of traffic, kind of our area where we burn a lot of limbs and stuff right here, so we're always pulling a vehicle in to drop stuff off there or coming in with a vehicle to take the water up to the pig pen. It gets a lot of traffic for his vehicle, so it's pretty compacted, and also it's just a smaller pasture, so whenever you put animals in here for a whole week, they kind of get it munched down pretty good. And on top of that, it's a lot of Bermuda in this pasture. So that Bermuda's not really growing that tall. It's just kind of more of a fine blade plant. It does have a little bit of fescue in some patches, some clover, but for the most part it's mostly Bermuda. So this pasture really gets hit hard and doesn't really do that well going into winter. It did pretty good this summer. I kind of stayed off of it as much as I could. But we're gonna take the goats into this pasture right here. We'll get the goats over there and we'll walk in there and see what we got as far as grazing goes in there. So as you can see, this pasture, I guess you could see, has a lot more vegetation in it. This pasture's slightly bigger than the last, but it doesn't ever have all that vehicle traffic or anything like that compacting the soil. I don't know if you can tell the difference where the goats are. You can see the vegetation going down. That's just from us driving, or the horses or something walking through that next gate. So this is where your compaction spot is, and then it gets better as you go down. Down here in this little bottom area right here is really good fescue, and we got a lot of bahia grass in here. I know bahia grass isn't really a favorable grass, but these goats tend to love them seed heads off the bahia grass. Like you got right there, they'll tear that up. There's not a lot of clover in this patch, which is all right. Too much clover can be a bad thing for its toxicity levels. But something that I've noticed a lot this year, that we've always had a little bit of, but I've never remember it being this bad, is all this tall, straight stuff. That's broom sedge. Broom sedge is an indicator of high acidity in your soil. And so that means, you know, we need to be looking at putting some lime out here on our pastures. We've been doing chicken litter for the past 2 years for its fertility. But I think this year we're going to be taking some soil samples and seeing if we can get our pH a little bit better, maybe get some more fertilizer in here for what it needs. I don't know. There's a little bit of different story on this broom sedge this year. In the past, I've grazed everything harder. You know, I've never gone into fall with this much forage on our pastures because I've been rotating so hard this year. So maybe I pushed the goats and the horses hard enough last year that they actually ate the broom sedge when it was young, and that's why I didn't really see it. And it's always been here. I know it's always been here, but like I said, I've never seen it this bad. So maybe that's why. We'll kind of just see. I think later on, when everything's not growing, the goats will kind of go for that because that's what they have to eat. So we'll just kind of see. But we definitely want to get this place soil sampled and see if we can get that pH level down, so we can get rid of some of this stuff and we start growing some more favorable grasses. I really like to kind of promote some fescue growing through here. Fescue can be toxic as well if that's all they have, but I'm not going through here and killing everything and just planting fescue, so it shouldn't ever be an issue. I did notice all these little white little things right here. That's foxtail. We got a good bit of that this year, but again, I think that's because, you know, we're not pushing the goats as hard. I mean, some of them goats, you can barely see the top of their back. We got some good growth in here. There's going to be plenty for them to eat throughout the winter if we keep moving them like this. The grass is really starting to slow down. You can see some stuff is starting to turn a little brown. Our lows that have been in the 50s and 60s at night, although we might be getting in the 80s, upper 80s some during the days. We're just starting to go into fall. Things are starting to slow down. That fescue will keep growing all the way up until frost. It'll stay green all winter, but it'll stop growing here soon. So just hanging on to what we got, and hopefully we're not going to have to feed as much hay, but we have plenty of hay if we need it. So the goats will be in there for the next week. They shouldn't tear that pasture apart like they tore this one. And on top of that, in the afternoons, I'm still going to be shuffling them over to the neighbors. So they'll have some forage over there where they're not hitting that as hard. That'll help us out a bunch. It's just trying to manage that grass. You know, up until this year, I really didn't think too much of the grass. I mean, I always knew that rotating animals was a good thing for its parasites and your grass. The more you can break a piece of property up, the longer your grass will last, because animals roam the prairies. The buffalo roam the prairies and all that for years, unmanaged, not fenced, but they could travel. They wasn't in the same spot every day, so they didn't have parasite issues, and they didn't completely eat its stuff down to the ground. As a farmer, you're really a grass farmer or dirt farmer, really kind of focusing on that soil and those plants is what's going to make your living. It's going to cut costs for its grain. It's going to cut costs for its hay, your parasites, all kind of different benefits if you're focused on rotating animals and focusing on that soil health, not eating those plants all the way to the ground, so they can give it a rest period so it can recover before you come back on it. There's a lot of guys out there doing it. I watch several of them, and it all makes sense. And some of it, it's a lot of dedication to it. Sometimes I don't have the time to really rotate like I should. Like, I can't rotate every day. I just don't have enough time right now. But it's something that we're going to focus on. It's something that we're going to try to get better at going forward. But this is the first year that I've really focused on it, and I can see the benefits of it already. I did not have near as much of grass last year that I do this year. And we have almost twice the amount of goats. We got a cow now. We still have the horses. So it speaks a lot. If you take the time, you're able to divide your pastures up, whether it be this poly wire or poly braid fence, or just regular wire. If you know where your cross fences need to be. So it's something to it. I'm enjoying doing it. Sorry, I can't talk this morning. And we're seeing the benefits of it. So we're going to keep at it. Like I said, we might involve this poly wire fence back into the equation going into the winter. But we'll just kind of have to see. But yep, I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. I got to get these goats some water. I think we got a lot of content into this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, kind of showing you just everyday little things. Let us know in the comments or by the like button if you do like what I'm trying to do. I know this one was kind of a little bit different just because I talked a good bit at the front end of the video. But going forward, maybe the next 2 or 3 videos, I'll try this kind of method of breaking several days up into a video. This might possibly allow us to make more videos. To be honest, I can just break out the camera for 15-20 minutes every afternoon instead of trying to make a complete video. So maybe I can get some content out there more. Maybe we can go back to posting 2 days a week. It's just sometime in these slow times where all I'm doing is rotating animals and just doing little bitty farm projects. It's just not a whole lot to make a whole video on. And we got some projects coming up. We got breeding coming up. We got a bunch of different stuff coming up. So we'll still have some project videos, but I kind of like doing the vlog videos better, to be honest. It's a little less stressful on me, trying to make sure I capture a whole project when I can just whip out the camera when I got a couple thoughts and I want to show you something. So like I said, let us know in the comments or the like button if you did like this format. On the next video, we're going to try to do it a little bit better. So just let us watch. Make sure you watch the next video. I think we got something kind of cool if you're into the homesteading stuff, raising your own food. I think we got something new coming to you on the next video. But I really appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified next time we post a video. And we'll see you on the next one.